Hello everyone! For this video we are going to take a closer look at how to customize boots. I think these are like motorcycle or horse riding boots. I bought them secondhand for my Star-Lord cosplay last year. But I noticed they also look a lot like Gepard's boots. One of the requirements will be that the customization can also be taken off. So basically I don't want to permanently attach most of it to the boots. Now let's get started! I started by drawing a template by using my boot and leg as a reference. Since it has to wrap around my leg, I made my template a little bigger, so I have some room to play with when making it out of EVA foam. I'm using 10mm EVA foam floor mats for this. Later on we are going to put fake leather on top of it, so the quality of the foam doesn't really matter much. After cutting out a left and a right piece, the edges need to be dremeled in a 45-degree angle. I also cleaned up the rest of the edges, but it is less important because we are going to put leather on top of it. For the angle, I first cut off most of the foam with a box cutter. After that I just smoothened it up with a Dremel. Then it's time to glue. First we need to glue the two pieces together. By laying it flat on the table it is easy to glue straight edges. Next is gluing the leather on it. I started by gluing the front surfaces. Make sure to spread the glue evenly, otherwise you might see it through the leather. Also notice I'm only putting glue on the foam part and I glue it when it's still a bit wet. This is also so you won't see the glue. After gluing the front surface you can iron it to make the leather a bit smoother. Use a dishcloth between the iron and the leather so you don't damage it. Now we have to prepare it for gluing. Trim the edges of the leather and make some cuts into it. These cuts will help you wrap it around the corners and rounded edges. I glued this with contact cement, but later I reinforced the edges of the leather with some hot glue. The corners can be pretty tricky, and you will always have some overlap. Try to make a nice fold exactly in the corner. For the rest of the edges, try creating the least wrinkles. Next up we need to make the blue part. Make a template using the foam piece you just created and cut it out of foam. I made this out of 2mm EVA foam. You can glue it just like the leather piece. It's just a little bit easier because it's just a rectangle. Try to make the top half of it the best, since you won't be seeing half of it. Once it's done, we can glue it onto the main part. Again, I'm using contact glue, but afterwards I reinforced it with hot glue to make it a bit sturdier. Let's start making some details. Here I'm working on the silver front piece. Again, use the pieces you just made to create your template and cut it out of foam. I used 5mm EVA foam for this piece. Adjust your template by making some cuts into it. Take over these cuts onto your foam piece and cut them out. I don't cut these all the way through, but it's just what you prefer. Now let's make an undercut in the foam. Find the middle line of your foam and along the whole line make a cut which doesn't go all the way through. This way it's easier to bend into the correct shape. The edge will also be super clean, since we don't have to glue anything in the front. Use hot glue to fill the undercut and bend it into shape. You will have to hold it for a few minutes or use something to keep it in the correct shape. Let's continue with the hardest piece of this build. This is the emblem on the back of the boots. I tried making this out of one piece of 10mm EVA foam, which was not the best decision. I started by cutting out my template and dremeling it into the basic shape. Because the middle is higher, I dremeled the sides a bit thinner. I made some cuts into the sides with a box cutter and then dremeled the middle piece into an angle, but this was really hard to do. Still, the result looks pretty good, but I wasn't satisfied with it. So I tried making it out of 5mm pieces, which was a lot better, but still not great. At the end I made it with the middle piece separated from the sides and glued them together. This looks a lot nicer in my opinion. Now the old one is just ugly if you compare them. The boots also have some leather straps. I just used some leather from an old bag handle to make these. The back strap is also the only part I'm actually going to glue onto the boot, because the reflector at the back of the boot doesn't really fit my Star-Lord cosplay anyway. I cut the strap into the correct length and round off the edges. The straps are double layered, so I cut them in half. Because I cut them in half, the stitches came loose, so Lucy stitched them back in for me. The straps in the front of the boot are loops, so let's glue them together. I use contact glue here, but stitching it or using super glue might work better, I suppose. Using the long brown straps we just created, we can also make the leather straps on the side of the boots. I just made these by gluing some fake leather on a 2mm EVA foam piece, which are the same size as the brown leather straps. Just like with the other leather piece we glued, make some cuts at the rounded edges and spread the glue evenly and only onto the foam. The strap has a gold button at the bottom, so let's also make this out of 2mm EVA foam. Just draw a circle, the size you prefer, and cut it out. I dremeled the edges with low speed settings afterwards, so they get a bit rounded off like a real button. Now onto my favorite part, painting it. First heat seal the pieces with a heat gun. Use something to hold the tiny piece into place, otherwise you are going to have a hard time with them. Then we can put some primer onto it. I use Flex Bond on all the pieces. Once it's all dried, we can paint it. I painted the buttons gold and the other parts with antique silver. Once everything dried, I started putting everything together. First are the buttons on the black leather straps. I use contact glue here, but I think super glue would be better to use. Glue the brown leather loops onto the silver front detail. The loop on the bottom is a little bit longer than the loop on the top. To attach these onto the main part, I use some Velcro with an adhesive layer on it. This is super easy to attach, but make sure you do it right the first time, or you might damage your leather. You can use your foam piece with Velcro on it to determine where the counterpart needs to be located. Next we glue the black leather straps onto the main part. Again I use contact glue and reinforce the back with some hot glue. The strap is only on one side of the boot, so make sure you mirror the two main parts you are making. Once you've glued one, you can use it as a reference to glue the other one into the correct position. To close the back, I added 2 pieces of elastic band. Make sure to reinforce this one with hot glue, because otherwise it will get loose when putting it on or walking. I added a little hook at the bottom front. It will wrap around the front of my boot. This will help the part stay in place when I'm walking around. To attach the silver emblem, I added elastic band to the emblem with contact cement. After that, I used super glue to glue the 2 parts of the elastic band together around the elastic band that holds the back together. Now it's mounted in the middle, but it's still flexible. The last step is to put the leather strap onto the back of the boot. I used contact glue, but later I added some super glue to the ends of the strap, which is much stronger. Well, I hope this will help you create your own customized boots. For me, this was the first time using fabric in combination with foam, so I certainly learned a lot by making this. I might make a template later and add it to the description, but I'm not sure how useful it would be to anyone. Next week I'll be working on some FNAF related project, so if you like FNAF, be sure to check that out. But until then, see you all later.